You check their story, late at night, screen glowing in the dark, the same loop, their silence, a void you keep touching. You know it's empty, yet your thumb hovers. Again. This isn't new. You've done this before. After the last message they never answered. After the call they never returned. Each tap, a pull back to pain you thought was gone. Why seek their shadow when their absence already spoke? You tell yourself it's just a glance, just a moment, but moments stack. They build a chain, one you carry alone. Each check, another crack in your frame. It's not them you're chasing. It's the version of you that still hopes. Invisible regret grows not loud, not seen, but heavy. It sits behind your chest, a weight you don't name. Every refresh, every scroll feeds it. You're not healing, you're repeating. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Their profile isn't your mirror. It's a wall, cold, unmoving. Pain is a guest, not your home. Let go, or it stays. What do you see when you look at their silence? Are you searching for them? Or clinging to a wound you won't release? You think you're in control, but each tap proves otherwise. The loop isn't theirs, it's yours. You don't have to follow the pull of loss. Their absence is not your answer. Pause and see what's left. You think one message will unravel their silence. One explanation will close the wound. You draft the words, fingers poised, believing clarity will free you. Control, you tell yourself, lies in their answer. But their silence is already complete. You wait for a reply that never comes. You wait for meaning that isn't there. Each word you type pulls you deeper. You're not solving pain. You're feeding it. Seeking closure is chasing a shadow. It moves, but never holds. Their absence doesn't owe you truth. You think explaining will make you seen. But no one sees what you don't show yourself. What's left when you stop typing? Regret or stillness? You think you need their words to end the loop, but the loop is yours. Stop, and it breaks. Silence isn't defeat. Quote 1. Checking their shadow. You open the app, late at night, screen casting a pale glow. Their profile, a click away. You tell yourself, it's nothing, just a glance. But your thumb knows the path. You've been here before, after the last unanswered text, after the silence settled. Each tap, a thread pulling you back. You see their story, a moment they chose to share with everyone but you. Pain stirs, not loud, but sharp. You know it's empty, yet you linger. This isn't curiosity, it's a loop. Each refresh, another step deeper into invisible regret. You're not learning anything new. Their life, their silence, isn't your answer. But you check, because you think it holds a piece of you. It doesn't. The cost isn't time, it's your presence. Every glance erodes the ground you stand on. You're not moving forward, you're chasing a ghost. Epictetus said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." Their profile is not your life. It's a fragment, a shadow that shifts. You give it power when you let it pull. The truth, you already know their absence. Checking only buries you deeper in the void. Stop the scroll. Withdraw from the screen, from the pull. Turn it off, not to hide, but to see. Your mind is your own. Their silence doesn't own it. Pause before you tap again. The action is small. The weight is not. You don't have to react. But the pull, it doesn't end with one choice. Quote 2. Seeking their answer, you draft a message. Words you've rewritten in your head 100 times. You think one sentence will unlock their silence. You want them to see, to explain, to give you something to hold. Closure, you call it. But it's a chase. You sit, phone in hand, believing their reply will lift the weight. It won't. Their silence is already their answer. You type because you think you need their truth. You don't. Every word you send builds a cage. You're not freeing yourself. You're binding yourself to their absence. The need to be heard. It's not about them. It's about you. Refusing to let go. Each unsent draft, each deleted line deepens the loop. You're not seeking answers. You're seeking pain. The cost is your stillness, stolen by a question they'll never answer. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Their response is a phantom you create. You give it life when you demand their words. The reality, their silence, is enough. You don't need their reasons to move. Disengage from the urge to explain. Step back from the edge of their void. Don't send the message. Delete the draft. Not to forget, but to see. Their absence doesn't define you. Pause before you reach again. The choice is yours. The weight is not. Silence isn't surrender, but the urge to be seen, it lingers still. Quote 3. Reliving their words. You scroll through old messages. Late at night, their words frozen on the screen. Each line, a memory you can't release. You read and reread, searching for a moment you missed. A clue, a reason, something to explain the loss. You tell yourself it's harmless, just to look back. It's not. You're not remembering, you're clinging. Each swipe pulls you deeper into regret, a loop you choose. Those texts, they're not answers, they're echoes of a time that's gone. You hold them like they hold truth. They don't. The weight grows not in the words, but in your refusal to let go. You're not finding closure, you're building a cage. Every reread steals your presence, trades it for a past that doesn't move. The cost is your own voice, drowned in their silence. Marcus Aurelius said, "The memory of everything is very soon overwhelmed in time. Their words are dust. You give them life when you scroll again. The truth, you already know the end. Release the thread. Turn off the screen. Not to erase, but to breathe. Don't read another line. Step back from the glow. Your mind is not their archive. Pause before you dive again. The past doesn't own you. The void is where it clears. But the pull of the past, it doesn't fade easily." Quote 4. Hiding the wound. You smile, nod, say you're fine. The world moves on, and you let it. But inside, pain festers, silent, unseen. You suppress it, push it down, because showing it feels weak. You tell yourself, it'll fade if you just keep moving. It doesn't. Each forced laugh, each "I'm okay" buries the hurt deeper. You're not healing, you're dennying. Hiding doesn't erase. It builds a wall between you and your own truth. The weight grows, not in the pain, but in the effort to conceal. You think you're strong for carrying it alone. And you're not. You're trapped. in a cycle of numbness. Every mask you wear steals your breath, leaves you further from yourself. The cost is your awareness. Traded for a lie, you tell the mirror. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." Your wound is not your shame. It's your signal. Breathe through the ache. Witness what you've buried, not to dwell, but to see. Don't say fine again. Sit with it. No words, no rush. Your truth doesn't need a mask. Pause before you hide once more. The pain is not your enemy. Pain doesn't mean truth, but the urge to conceal, it lingers in the quiet. Quote 5. Feeling unseen. You walk through the day, unseen. Their absence, a hole no one notices. You speak, you smile, but the weight behind your eyes, it's invisible. You think, if you were enough, they'd have stayed. You think your pain is proof you failed. It's not. You're not invisible. You're just holding on to their gaze. This belief, it's a trap. You tie your worth to their choice to leave. You let their silence define your presence. The cost is your center. Each moment you dwell on being unseen pulls you further from yourself. You're not fading, you're choosing to fade. The world doesn't see your wound because you don't owe it your truth. Epictetus said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Their departure doesn't measure you. It's a fact, not your value. Withdraw from their mirror. Be here, in your own frame, not to prove, but to stand. Don't seek their eyes. Observe your own breath. Your worth doesn't need their light. Pause before you doubt again. You are enough." Detachment is a form of respect, but the shadow of their absence, it still calls. A man sits alone, phone dark, room silent. He checks their profile every night for months. Each tap deepens the void. He thinks one glimpse will ease the ache. It doesn't. His days blur. His presence fades. He's not living. He's waiting for a shadow that never moves. The pull, it's not just theirs. It's yours, too. Quote 6. Overthinking their reasons. You lie awake, mind spinning, replaying their last words. Why did they leave? What did you miss? What could you have changed? You dissect every moment, every glance, searching for a reason that fits. Overthinking, you call it understanding. It's not. It's a loop, binding you to a question with no answer. Their silence isn't a puzzle, it's a fact. Each thought builds a heavier chain. You're not solving pain, you're sinking into it. You think clarity will free you. It won't. Their reasons don't hold your truth. The cost is your stillness, traded for a maze you built yourself. You're not finding answers, you're losing ground. Seneca said, "You have no need to think so much. Things are simpler than you make them. Their choice is not your equation. Let it rest. Unhook from the need to know. Brave through the urge to solve. Not to forget, but to see. Don't chase the why. Step back from the spiral. Your mind is not their ledger. Pause before you think again. The answer is already here. You don't owe anything, but the need to understand, it doesn't quiet easily. Quote 7. Pleasing their memory. You adjust your day, your words, your steps to fit a shadow. You think if you'd been different, they'd have stayed. You reshape yourself to match their ghost. pleasing. You call it growth. It's not. It's a trap, bending you to a past that doesn't breathe. Their absence isn't your blueprint. You're not fixing, you're erasing. Every change you make for their memory cuts deeper. You lose your edges, not to heal, but to appease. The cost is your center, traded for a version they never saw. You think you're proving worth, you're only proving pain. Their silence doesn't judge you, you do. The weight grows in your effort to be what you weren't. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be satisfied with your own nature, and do not let another's opinion rule you. Their gaze is gone. You don't need to fit it. Stand as you are. Detach from their echo. Not to reject, but to be here. Don't shift for them. Hold the line. No adjustments. No apologies. Your worth doesn't need their nod. Pause before you bend again. You are not their shadow. Not doing is power too, but the urge to be enough, it still whispers." Quote 8. Fearing the emptiness. You sit alone. The quiet bites. Their absence, a void you dread. You fill the silence with noise, with tasks, with anything to keep it at bay. You think if you stop, the emptiness will swallow you. It won't. You're not escaping fear. You're feeding it. Avoiding the stillness is choosing the loop. The quiet isn't your enemy. You make it one. Running doesn't shrink the void. It grows it in the spaces you refuse to face. Each distraction pulls you further from your ground. You think busyness is strength. It's not. It's denial, masking the truth you won't see. The cost is your breath, traded for a race you can't win. You're not outrunning emptines, you're carrying it. Epictetus said, "You become what you give your attention to." The void is not your cage. Your fear makes it so.
Sit with it. No rush, no flight. Witness the quiet.
Not to fill, but to SEE. Don't turn away. Stay still. Let the silence settle. Your strength lives in the pause. Pause before you flee again. The void is just space. Stillness is enough, but the quiet, it still feels heavy. Seneca sat in exile. His world stripped away. He didn't chase what was lost. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, who is poor, but the one who craves more." His silence was his strength. He faced the void and found his center. The weight of absence. It's not just theirs. It's what you add when you refuse to pause. Quote 9. Hoping for their return. You wake and check your phone. A flicker of hope. Maybe they'll reach out. You wait for a sign, a text, anything to undo the silence. You call it longing, but it's hope blindly. You're not wishing. You're clinging to a future that doesn't exist. Their absence isn't a door waiting to open. It's a wall, and you're knocking. Each hope tightens the loop. You're not moving forward, you're holding your breath. You think their return will erase the pain. It won't. The cost is your presence, traded for a dream you can't control. You're not hoping, you're losing yourself to a maybe that never comes. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look within. Do not allow the future to trouble you. Their return is not your peace. It's a shadow you chase in the dark. Detach from the weight. Be here in this moment. Not to give up, but to stand. Don't check for their name. Release the need for their call. Your life doesn't wait for their choice. Pause before you hope again. The future is not their shadow. You can end without drama, but the flicker of maybe, it still burns. Quote 10. Blaming yourself. You sit, staring at the dark, replaying your choices. What you said, what you didn't, what you could have done. You think, if you'd been better, they'd still be here. Shame whispers you failed. You believe it, because their absence feels like proof. It's not. You're not broken, you're blaming a wound you didn't choose. Each thought tightens the knot. You're not understanding, you're punishing. You hold yourself to a standard their silence set. The cost is your ground, eroded by a guilt you don't owe. You think blame will make sense of loss. It won't. It only buries you under a weight you can't carry. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, to cease worrying about things beyond our power." Their choice is not your fault, it's theirs. Release the need to answer. Observe your own breath, not to absolve, but to see. Don't rewrite your past. Step back from the mirror of shame. Your worth doesn't bend to their exit. Pause before you judge again. You are not the reason they left. Pain doesn't mean truth, but the weight of blame, it still presses. Quote 11. Replaying the end. You close your eyes, and it plays again. The moment they walked away, the words that cut, the silence that followed. You loop it, frame by frame, searching for a different ending. You think, if you see it enough, it'll make sense. It won't. You're not processing. You're trapped. Replaying doesn't heal. It carves the wound deeper into regret. Each rerun steals your now. You're not learning, you're holding on to a scene that's done. The cost is your breath, traded for a memory that doesn't change. You think reliving will unlock their choice. It doesn't. Their exit is not your story. You keep it alive when you press play again. Seneca said, "To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength." The end is not your chain. It's a moment already gone. Withdraw from the real. Be here in the quiet, not to forget, but to see. Don't watch it again. Turn off the loop. Your life is not their final scene. Pause before you replay once more. The past holds no answers. Silence isn't surrender, but the echo of their leaving, it still hums. Why keep watching their silence? Because it feels like I'm still there. Then, let go. It's not them you're holding. The need to stay connected? It's a weight you choose. Quote 12. Chasing their validation. You post, you share, you craft a life they might see. You think, if they notice, they'll regret leaving. You shape your days to prove you're enough. Chasing their nod. You call it moving on. It's not. It's a loop, tying you to their gaze. Their silence isn't your stage. You're not performing. You're pleasing a ghost. Each effort to be seen builds a heavier chain. You're not thriving. You're performing for an audience that's gone. The cost is your center, traded for a glance that never comes. You think their approval will lift the pain. It won't. Their eyes don't measure you. You do when you wait for their light. Marcus Aurelius said, "The approval of others is not in your control. Their validation is not your worth. It's a shadow you chase in vain. Detach from their mirror. Stand in your own frame, not to prove, but to be. Don't shape yourself for them. Say less. Let your life breathe. Your value doesn't need their applause. Pause before you perform again. You are not their reflection." Detachment is a form of respect, but the urge to be noticed, it still tugs. Quote 13. Running from silence. You turn on music, scroll endlessly, fill the air with noise. Anything to drown the quiet. Their absence, it hums in the stillness, and you run. You think if you keep moving, the silence won't catch you. It will. You're not escaping. You're avoiding. Running doesn't erase the void. It deepens it in the spaces you refuse to face. Each distraction pulls you further from yourself. You're not staying busy. You're fleeing from what's left. The cost is your ground, traded for a race against nothing. You think noise will cover the pain. It doesn't. It only muffles your own voice, leaving you lost in the hum. Silence isn't your cage. Your fear makes it so. Seneca said, "You must be silent before you can understand. The quiet is not your enemy. It's your mirror. Sit with it. No rush, no sound. Witness the space. Not to hide, but to see. Don't drown it out. Stay still. Let the silence breathe. Your strength lives in the pause. Pause before you run again. Silence is where you begin. Stillness is enough, but the quiet, it still feels like a threat." Quote 14. Explaining your worth. You want to tell them how they were wrong. You craft words in your head to prove you were enough. You think if they understood, the pain would lift. It won't. Explaining isn't clarity. It's a loop, begging for their eyes. Their silence doesn't need your defense. You're not justifying, you're chasing their approval. Each unsaid speech binds you tighter. You're not reclaiming yourself. You're pleading to a ghost. The cost is your presence, traded for a verdict they'll never give. You think explaining will make you seen. It doesn't. It only chains you to a judgment that's not yours to carry. Their choice isn't your measure. You make it so when you speak to their shadow. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Your worth doesn't need their nod. It's yours, already whole. Say less. Let the urge pass. Detach from their scale. Not to hide, but to stand. Don't plead your case. Hold the line. No words, no proof. Your value speaks in silence. Pause before you explain again. You owe no one your truth. You don't owe anything, but the need to be heard, it still burns. 90% of people check an ex's social media within a month of a breakup. Each click, a step deeper into the loop. The screen doesn't answer. It only pulls further from stillness. The urge to speak, it's not just to them, it's to yourself, to drown the quiet. Quote 15. Dwelling on their happiness, you see their post. A smile, a new place, a new life. You wonder, are they happier without you? You linger, on their joy, as if it measures your loss. You think their light dims yours. It doesn't. Dwelling isn't understanding. It's a trap, tying you to their shadow. Their happiness isn't your failure. You make it so when you stare. Each thought of their new life builds a heavier weight. You're not curious. You're clinging to a story that's not yours. The cost is your ground, traded for a comparison you can't win. You think their smile proves you weren't enough. It doesn't. Their path doesn't define your center. You do when you let it pull. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Their joy is not your mirror. It's theirs, separate, irrelevant. Withdraw from their frame. Be here, in your own. Not to compete, but to SEE. Don't scroll their light. Turn off the need to compare. Your life doesn't need their contrast. Pause before you judge again. Your worth stands alone. The void is where it clears, but the pull of their new story, it still whispers." Quote 16, holding their faults, you list their wrongs in your mind again and again. The lies, the coldness, the way they left. You think if you name their faults, the pain will make sense. It won't. Holding their mistakes isn't justice. It's a loop binding you to their shadow. Their flaws don't explain your wound. You keep them to fuel your anger. Each grudge tightens the chain. You're not healing. You're clinging to a story that burns. The cost is your breath, traded for a fire you feed. You think blaming them will free you. It doesn't. It only anchors you to a past you can't change. Their wrongs aren't your burden. You make them so when you hold on. Seneca said, "Anger is an acid that does more harm to the vessel in which it is stored." Their faults are not your cage. They're theirs. Let them carry it. Release the need to judge. Step back from their ledger, not to forgive, but to see. Don't recount their sins. Say less. Let the fire die. Your peace doesn't need their guilt. Pause before you blame again. Their wrongs don't own you. Let go isn't weakness, but the urge to point fingers, it still stings. Quote 17. Waiting for closure. You sit staring at the door they closed. You think one talk, one answer will tie the loose ends. You wait for their words to make the pain fit. It won't. Waiting isn't healing. It's a trap holding you in their silence. Their closure isn't your key. You're not seeking truth. You're chasing their shadow. Each moment you wait builds a heavier anchor. You're not moving. You're suspended in a hope that doesn't breathe. The cost is your now, traded for a maybe that never comes. You think their explanation will free you. It doesn't. It only binds you to a story that's done. Their silence is enough. You make it heavy when you linger. Epictetus said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do." Their absence is not your puzzle. It's complete. Detach from the need for answers. Be here, in your own frame, not to settle, but to see. Don't wait for their call. Step back from the door. Your peace doesn't need their words. Pause before you hope again. Closure is not theirs to give. You can end without drama, but the need for an ending, it still pulls. A woman stood at her window, watching the street where they used to walk. She waited for a glimpse for months. The street stayed empty, her heart heavier. She wasn't seeing, she was holding on. The view didn't change, only she could. The wait, it's not just for them. It's for a version of you that's already gone. Quota 18. Fearing new steps. You stand still, afraid to move. A new day, a new choice, feels like betrayal. You think if you step forward, you'll lose what's left. You won't. Fear keeps you here, not loyalty. You're not preserving, you're avoiding. New steps don't erase the past. They free you from its weight. Each pause before you act builds a heavier chain. You're not honoring them. You're trapping yourself in their shadow. The cost is your breath traded for a fear you feed. You think moving on means forgetting. It doesn't. It means choosing your ground over their absence. You're not leaving them. You're claiming yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "The present is the only thing that can't be taken from you. The future is not their cage. It's yours if you choose it. Step back from the edge of fear. Be here in this moment. Not to rush, but to see. Don't hold your breath. Take the step. Small, steady. Your life doesn't wait for their ghost. Pause before you freeze again. Moving is not loss. Or not doing is power too. But the fear of change, it still grips." Quote 19. Carrying their silence. You wake, their absence, heavy in your chest. You carry it through your day, like a stone you can't drop. You think it's part of you now, this quiet ache. It's not. Their silence isn't your burden. You're not holding love. You're clinging to loss. You keep it close because letting go feels like falling. It doesn't. Each step with their weight pulls you deeper into the loop. You're not honoring them. You're burying yourself under their choice. The cost is your presence, traded for a shadow you chose to carry. You think their silence defines your story. It doesn't. It's theirs, not yours to hold. You make it heavy when you don't release. Seneca said, "What is lighter than a feather, but cannot be held long?" Your breath. Their silence is not your breath. It's air. Let it pass. Unhook from their weight. Breathe through the space. Not to forget, but to see. Don't carry it today. Drop the stone. Your heart doesn't need their quiet. Pause before you lift it again. Their absence is not your home. Let go isn't weakness, but the weight of their quiet, it still settles. Quote 20. Denying your pain. You push it down. The ache, the sting. You tell yourself, it's not there. It's not real. You move. You work. You smile. To prove you're fine. You're not. Dennying isn't strength. It's a trap. Hiding the wound from yourself. Your pain doesn't vanish. It waits. Growing in the dark. Unseen. Each effort to ignore builds a heavier shadow. You're not overcoming. You're suppressing what needs air. The cost is your center, traded for a mask you can't remove. You think denial will make you whole. It doesn't. It fractures you further from your truth. Your pain isn't your shame. You make it so when you turn away. Epictetus said, "You cannot escape what you will not face. Your wound is not your enemy. It's your signal to see." Sit with it. No rush, no lies. Breathe through the ache, not to bury, but to witness. Don't say you're fine. Observe the truth. Your heart doesn't need your silence. Pause before you deny again. Pain is not your prison. Stillness is enough, but the urge to hide, it still pulls. The phone lies dark, screen cold, room still. No glow, no hum, just your breath, slow, steady. You didn't check, didn't type, didn't chase. A moment held, not lost. The silence isn't empty. It's yours if you claim it. You didn't run from the quiet. You didn't fill it with their shadow. The pause, it wasn't weakness. It was yours. A choice to stand, not to prove, not to fix, but to be here. The weight, it's lighter, not gone, but carried differently. What pulls you back when you already SEE? Their absence or your own refusal to let the loop break? No answer is needed. No truth owes you words. Stillness is where you begin.